Today, I'm going to show you how to set up templates in PhpStorm that create multiple files. Sounds like something that should be easy, right? And it is. So why this video? Because it also isn't, and it's because JetBrains left out one tiny but essential part that you need for modern PHP. And I'm using modern PHP very broadly here. We're talking about version 5.3 and later. So this video is basically 50% tutorial and 50% rant, but hopefully 100% entertaining, because that's what irritating IDE bugs are, right? Entertaining. Well, we'll find out. The good news is that I'll show you a workaround to make it a usable feature. But before we get into the nitty-gritty details, here's a quick demonstration of what this is all about to make sure we're on the same page. In many of the projects I work on, we use a command bus. If you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. It basically means whenever I want to add a new operation, I have to create 3 classes. The command, a handler, and a test. No big deal, right? Just create 3 files. Yeah, I could do that, but what about this? I right-click on source, go to new, and select my command and unit test template. Let's call this one create blog post. I hit OK, and there it is. A brand new namespace, the command, the handler, the test. I can even run the test right away to start the TDD cycle. I'm all set. I guess everybody agrees that this is nice, right? Maybe not life-changing, but it's one of those little things that make life a little sweeter. And this is just one example. I'm pretty sure you can think of a few cases off the top of your head where this could be useful in your development workflow. So let's check out how this works. Let's set up a very simple multi-file template. To do that, I go to Settings, Editor, File and Code Templates. A multi-file template is basically just a single file template with 1 or more children. To create a new template, I click on the plus at the top of the list. Let's give it a name. And for this example, a very simple static content will do. It's worth noting that you have to click Apply before creating a child template. If you don't, you'll still be able to create it and everything looks fine, but it won't be saved. Probably also a bug, but not the one this video is about. To create a child template, I click the icon next to the plus. This time the file name is mandatory, so let's use the name variable and add something to it. What about .inc? Remember inc files in PHP? If you do, geez, you're old. Let me just add some dummy content here. Okay. So let's give it a try. Once again, right-click on Source, New, select the template, and just give it some random name. It doesn't really matter. Okay, that looks good, right? Yes, but now we get to the problem. By the way, if you don't care about problems and just want solutions, skip to the next chapter. You can always go back and watch this part if the solution makes you wonder what the hell is going on. Now that we've covered the basics, let's try to generate a couple of classes. And because I'm lazy, I'll just copy the default template. Now, before adding a child template, let's just give it a try. What's that? Well, this is called a custom variable. PhpStorm's templates work like this. If you use a variable and it's not one of the predefined ones, you'll be asked to enter a value when creating a new file from this template. That's a nice feature and it's definitely useful, but nobody wants to enter the namespace, right? Plus, I copied an existing template, so why doesn't it work? That's gotta be a bug and somebody should report that. Oh wait, somebody did. 11 years ago. And after a lengthy discussion, a couple of similar bug reports with similar discussions, JetBrains came up with a solution. About 3.5 years later, which is to use the create class dialog. Let's give it a try, shall we? Okay, so once again, new PHP class this time, a name, select the template, and it works. So let's move on and add our child template. And you can probably already sense that this is not going to go well, right? Let's open the settings again, go to our template and add a child template, give it a name. I already have some code in the clipboard, so I paste that. Okay, let's give it a try. New class. Once again, a random name. And you've got to be kidding me. Well, maybe it still does what we want, so let's give it a try. But nope, it doesn't. We can now create classes based on parent and child templates individually. Like, what's the point? I can already do that with single file templates. Now, the sad part is, after all these years, JetBrains still hasn't fixed it, so we have to do it ourselves. Fortunately, most if not all modern PHP projects and frameworks use PSR4 namespaces, which make it easy to derive the namespace from the directory structure. The only catch is that you typically have a prefix that you set in the autoload section in your composer JSON. But since we can't access that in the template, we have to find other ways. But first, let's give credit where credit's due, and it was one comment that inspired me to come up with my solution. And it was only because his solution didn't work. He relies on another predefined variable named organization name, and even though you should be able to set it somewhere in the project settings, it's not there. At first, I thought that maybe it's just not available on Mac, but while researching, I found another bug report from a CLine user on Linux who has the same problem. So maybe it's only available on Windows, maybe it was removed, maybe, I don't know. Long story short, it's not there, we can't use it, at least I can't use it, and that's why I came up with something else. So after staring at the list of predefined variables for a while, I realized that project name is probably the only one that could be misused to hold the namespace prefix. However, renaming every project to its namespace prefix might not be the best solution. I know many people who stick to their framework's default app namespace, and this would leave you with a project list consisting of app only. So let's combine project name and namespace prefix. If you don't know your namespace prefix, open the composer file and look for the autoload section. In my case, it's app. Go to File, Rename Project, and add your namespace prefix in parentheses to the end. Go to Settings, Editor, File and Code Templates, and switch to the Includes tab. Add a new template and call it PHP namespace. Copy the code snippet from the video description and paste it here. Here's what it does. It extracts the namespace prefix from the project name, replaces the source directory with a prefix, changes all slashes to backslashes to make it a proper PHP namespace, and assigns it to the namespace variable. Next, we switch to the file templates. I create a new one once again by duplicating the default template. Let's give it a name, and since we want to create two classes with this template, let's just call it two classes. The important part is to parse the include template right at the beginning of the file. By doing that, Velocity processes our include template and makes the variables available in this template. So we don't have to change anything else because we already use the namespace variable that's supposed to be there anyway. I copy the code, click apply because this is really important, and add a child template. Let's say the file name of this is name+2, and the class name should be obviously the same. Okay, so let's give it a try. One last time, new, select the template, give it a name, and okay, this looks good. But what about the child template? This looks good too. Okay, we finally have it. So this is my workaround to get multi-file templates to work in PhpStorm. Unfortunately, it's really just that, a workaround. And it can only do so much. If you have a project with multiple source directories and prefixes, it won't work. However, Velocity offers loops and conditions, so you could potentially write something more sophisticated, but I don't need that, so I didn't. As a long-time PhpStorm user, I really wish JetBrains would take issues like this more seriously. Those little things that annoy developers every single day that seem so low-hanging and make you wonder why the hell is this still broken after years. Instead, they put more and more AI into their IDEs, and so far it really hasn't impressed me at all. I want to end the video on something positive, so I hope my workaround works for you. And if you weren't even aware that something's broken with the file templates, you probably didn't use them at all. In this case, maybe you've got some inspiration to make use of them. That's it for today. Remember to like, share, and subscribe if you found this useful, and I'll see you in the next one.